Hi, Aries. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for January of 2023, a whole new year. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, let's take a look at January for you, Aries. I do want to start with two of our favorite asteroid goddesses, Juno and Ceres. Juno begins the month in Pisces, where she's been since July, and I've talked about that a lot in our last several months worth of horoscopes, so I'm not going to repeat it here. Instead, I want you to see what she's doing that's new, which is she's moving on into Aries right here in your first house, Aries. So Juno is coming into your sign. Juno is the asteroid goddess to do with marriage and committed relationship, and when she enters into your first house, and your own sign, then you can embody and express and be and project Juno, which is to say you can be the social maven, you can even be the matchmaker, you can be the social leader. It could be a really good time for throwing events, for meeting people, for dating, definitely. And you're going to be looking pretty what shall we say, pretty relatable, and really taking charge of your social life this month is a pretty great thing to do. Wherever Juno goes, we want to bring partnership and collaboration. Now, this is a house that's really known for its selfishness, and Aries is kind of known as a sign for its selfishness. So bringing that partnership sensibility into every move, every action, everything that you do this month, a really great approach. So then I want to talk about Ceres, another really favorite asteroid goddess. She has to do with the things that connect us to the physical world, our physical bodies, the food we put into them, and the money we make to sustain them. So she's all about good stewardship, taking good physical care of your body and your life, and that includes wealth building. So wherever she travels, you want to bring good stewardship to this domain, perhaps by getting better organized with it, getting more concrete about it, or applying this area to your own process of wealth building. This is a house of partnership. And so Ceres here brings the theme of money into your relationship. So this would be a really good month for having discussions with your partner about money, about, what is the money that each of you brings to the relationship? How do you manage the money in the relationship? And also, how do you eat together? What is your shared life of the body like? Like, how can you eat meals that really suit both of you and are good for your health and longevity for both of you? So that is really what a great thing to do while Ceres is here. And Ceres is going to be here for a long time, because right now, even at the beginning of the month, she's slowing down already and preparing to turn retrograde early next month. So she's going to be in your seventh house, in your domain of partnership, for several months to come. And part of what that means is that you want to get ready for a financial rebalancing period to happen starting in February and going as far as early May. So definitely start those conversations with your partner now so that you don't get caught short when Ceres goes retrograde and you have to untangle some kind of a financial mess with your partner. Hey, Julia, you've got some news about Venus, Mercury, and Mars this month.
I do for you, Aries. I'll start with Venus. She's the planet of relationships. She's the planet of pleasure. And she also brings a little luck wherever she goes. So we all love to hear about Venus. Now, she's going to cross over 3 different signs this month. She's moving pretty fast right now, but she starts the month and really only spends a day in your 10th house for, January 1st. Now, the 10th house represents career and authority figures. So you, during this very early part part of the month and mainly last month in December, this is a wonderful time for getting along with authority figures. The 10th house can also represent one of your parents. So if you've gone back home to visit for the holidays, you know, things could have gone along pretty well with them. But by January 2nd, Venus enters your 11th house where she'll spend most of the month. Now, this is a very social house, and Venus is a social planet. The 11th house represents your friends. The 11th house also represents your hopes, wishes, and dreams. So this is actually a lovely transit, especially if you're making some New Year's resolutions to kind of think ahead for what you want over the next year. Venus might add a little bit of luck to that. And if you are part of any groups, you know, unions, societies, conferences, teams, any type of situation where you find yourself among a group of people, you may get more enjoyment from being in groups during this transit, and you might find ways to benefit those who you're in a group with, and they might also benefit you back. Then by January 26th, Venus is going to enter your 12th house. So for the last end of the month, you're going to want to withdraw a lot more from the crowds. Maybe this has been a very social season so far, and it's just time for you to spend a little bit more time alone. Now, Venus in the 12th house, if you are in a relationship, you might want to spend time alone with your partner. Maybe you guys want to go to a secluded place together, because the 12th is a very secluded part of the whole house system. And Venus in the 12th house can be a wonderful time to be finding a little bit of pleasure with your spirituality and your compassion for the world too. Now, next planet I want to talk about is Mercury. That planet represents our mind, and Mercury starts the month retrograde. So if you are traveling this season, you know, there might be some screwy stuff that happens along the way, because Mercury does represent travel. And this retrograde cycle has been happening in your 10th house. This is, again, the house of authority figures, also the house of career. So you may have experienced some miscommunications with authority figures in your life, maybe your bosses, maybe your parents, and you may have been having to review or rethink career during this cycle too. You know, maybe you're looking over 2023 and wondering, you know, should I change up my job? Should I redo this project? But yeah, career is definitely going to come under review for the first part of this month. Now, January 7th is an important day to keep track of, because that's when a retrograding Mercury is going to exactly conjoin the sun. And we call that Lesser Epiphany Day, because it is a retrograde Mercury. And it can be a time of insights and revelations. Since this is happening in your 10th house, you might have had some insights into miscommunications you've been having lately around career or with authority figures, or maybe some insights into what you are doing with your career with all of this review that's going on. And then on January 18th, it's going to be really great news to hear, because Mercury will go direct. So we will slowly, by the end of the month, as Mercury picks up speed, be having to deal with less of the technical snafus, miscommunications, and just overall hairiness that Mercury retrograde can bring. So last planet I want to mention, and I also have some very good news here, is Mars. Mars starts the month retrograde in Gemini, which is your 3rd house. This is the house of siblings, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your daily commute, any sort of, you know, short journeys you take, whether you do weekend trips or whether you run errands around your town. It's also a house of learning too, and communication. So Mars has been retrograde in this house for a few months right now, and this has been just an annoying time, especially maybe feeling frustrations, getting flare-ups with things having to do with your siblings. Maybe there's been a lot of annoying construction work in your community, or things coming from your local environment which have been just kind of really irritating you a lot lately, and maybe with your commute too, since that's ruled by the 3rd house as well. But by January 12th, Mars finally goes direct after, you know, months of being retrograde. So we're going to slowly start moving forward out of this particularly frustrating cycle that has been hitting you in those 3rd house areas. So, and Mars won't go retrograde for another 2 years. So that's a very good thing. And anything else, Jamie, that you'd like to add?
Yeah, there are a couple of moons I want to talk about. And of course, the seasonal shift. The first moon is the moon in Cancer right here, full moon in Cancer opposite the sun. And this one ties in with Mercury right here, also Chiron over here, and Uranus over here. This is a pretty emotional moon, but it's balanced with a lot of the sort of hard logic of Mercury and the sun here in Capricorn. We're calling this moon hard work and deep care. The moon and Pallas Athena symbolizing, care, intuition, nurture, all of those Cancerian factors. Facing off against the Capricornian, buck up, be strong, be stoic, work hard kind of a thing. So very much the balancing act going on there. And Chiron has a lot to do with it by squaring it. So that brings in the potential for wounding and healing. And most especially for you, Aries, because Chiron has been traveling along through your first house for some years and is not quite done yet, has a couple more years to go. It's probably about in the middle of its 7-year journey along the sign of Aries. Chiron being the wounded healer, you might be having a transit of this year, in which case Chiron might be bringing up some old wounds to the surface, and that might be a good thing, to find out about. Uranus, meanwhile, is traveling along through your second house and is actually helping and helped by this moon. Wonderful support, mutual support going on here between Uranus and this moon. And Uranus has been bringing a lot of changes to your financial situation over the last several years on its 7-year journey through your second house of Taurus. And so if you've decided to do something crazy like get into crypto or something like that, this Uranus is probably why. And it might be a good idea for you to find out about that transit and what it means for you, and especially when it's the most active. Let's see. I want to add that the full moon itself lands in your 4th house, so that some of the stuff that gets stirred up, the emotions, possibly the wounds that come to the surface, might have to do with family, might have to do with home or heritage or nest. And it can be the home that you came from, or it can be the home that you live in. And I think it's really, really important to balance home with work, not overwork, and also stay busy and not underwork. So this moon is about all of that. Then the next thing that happens is on January 20th. And by the way, in our video about that moon, we talked about birthdays that are especially impacted by that moon. So you might want to check it out. So the next thing I want to tell you is that the sun moves into Aquarius. It changes signs right here, January 20th. It moves into your 11th house of friends, network, community, tribe. Also, this house is kind of like a laboratory. It's a great place for experimentation. And wherever the sun goes, the sun brings the nourishing light of attention and of conscious awareness. And so bringing a little attention to your friendships and your community while the sun is on its 30-day journey along your 11th house, well, that's just the right thing to do. It might be a good time for you to bring some leadership into your community, or it might be a good time to just sort of sink in and be one of the guys and let somebody else shine also. Then the next thing I want to tell you about is the new moon in Aquarius coming up on January 21st. And let me just step this by a couple of hours because that's a better view. Right here it is in the 11th house. And this is such a social moon. It's just so friendly. It's just so festive, really. And that's because of Jupiter's involvement traveling along through your first house. Jupiter's going to be cruising along your first house for the next several months. Another transit that's really great for you to find out about because that one brings you luck and charisma. Juno is right here in your first house too, as I mentioned before. Juno ties in with this moon really nicely and just sort of, ups the social nature of this moon. New moons are about new beginnings. This one lands in your 11th house of friendship. And so I think that you've got a really strong double theme there of where this moon is a really good time for new beginnings in community or regarding friends. So if things have not been going well with friends just lately, this could be a time for turning over a new leaf. We're calling this one Nurture the Tribe. And if you want to find out more about it, check out the video on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, where you can find both the moon videos for this month. Well, that's all for today. And we love making these videos for you, Aries. And if you love that we do it, please do hit that like button because it really matters to us when you tell YouTube how you feel. Let your friends know about our horoscopes too. Have a gorgeous January. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.